Welcome to Health Conscientious Entrepreneurs, where we uncover secrets to balancing entrepreneurship, life, and healthy habits to achieve radiant health. I'm your host, Ngoc Tai, and today I have my friend Lindsey Vertner, all the way from Indiana. Welcome, Lindsey. How
Thank
are
you for
you?
having me, Knock.
Yay. Well, please share your background and what you do for work and what brings you joy.
Awesome. So, to explain who I am and my background, I have to rewind it for a moment. So, in May of 2007, I found myself waking up in complete darkness and I had no clue where I was. I couldn't talk, I couldn't see, I couldn't move. So, what do you do in a moment like that? For me, I began to panic, like, because I didn't know what else to do, right?
Yeah.
So I panicked so much that I exhausted myself out. And the next time I woke up, I'm thinking to myself, like, man, that was a crazy nightmare. And it felt so real, only to slowly realize that I still didn't know where I was. I still couldn't move, still couldn't talk, and still couldn't see. So what it turns out is that a lady walks up to me before I could panic again, and she starts explaining that an entire week prior, on May 13, 2007, I was in a fatal car wreck where I was pronounced brain dead on the scene. I had to be cut from the car and I was flown by helicopter, lifeline by helicopter, to a trauma hospital where again I was pronounced brain dead upon arrival. But God had other plans for my life because surgeons proceeded to do emergency surgeries on me anyway. They didn't expect me to make it through the night nor the next day. And she's going through this long list of injuries. And to top it all off, I was paralyzed. So
Okay.
one minute I'm minding my business, driving home from visiting my mother for Mother's Day, to the next minute I'm waking up being told that I was brain dead and paralyzed. But
Crazy.
ironically, it was that situation that led me to my purpose with what I do today as a peak potential strategist. And I teach female entrepreneurs and ambitious leaders how to master their mindset and increase their self-care, self-worth, and self-discipline so that they can truly live a first-class life full of purpose, fulfillment, and happiness. So that is what I do. That is my jam, and it all resulted from a tragedy. So I'm happy to be here talking about mindset and how we can truly shift our minds and be
Yeah.
conscious of that.
That's amazing. And the reason why it's so amazing because the universe, the universe, God, whatever we believe in has the purpose for you. I mean,
Yes.
it wasn't your time to go. You know how I always believe that when it's your time to go, no matter what happens, you trying to avoid it, it's not gonna, you can't avoid it. But if it's not your time to go, like it's not your time to go. You're here
Right.
for a reason, right? You're here to create and empower more women and help us through our journey, and that's so amazing that you're doing that. And
Thank you.
so I honor you for what you do and inspiring so many women out there. And so you speak at different events, and I mean, let's go back. So what happened after you came out of that? What did you do? Did you started going through leadership coaching? Did you started going looking up different people and going YouTube? What did you do that was able to bring you to where you are now?
Yes. So the first thing I did was actually a mindset shift immediately in that moment, because what I realized was that no matter how much I were to cry or complain or pout or anything, I couldn't change the past that had already occurred. So in my mind, it's like, well, how do I live the future that I desired?
Mm-hmm.
Not one where I was paralyzed, not one where I was depending on other people. So that was the first thing. I had to be grateful and set my intentions for what I wanted for my life and then take action towards that.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as how I became in the coaching world, how that came to fruition was because that physical and emotional recovery process is what opened my eyes to my true purpose. Like, I've always had a passion for psychology. I have my bachelor's in psychology, and then after that recovery process, I went back for my master's in professional counseling and coaching. And so what happened was that people were calling me a miracle woman and calling me a walking miracle. And I didn't feel good enough to be that person. And I slowly realized through my own emotional journey that there were so many other people that also didn't feel good enough from their own life experiences. And as I uplifted myself and brought myself out, and the more that I studied and the more I helped those around me, I realized that that was my true purpose in helping others around the world to know that you're more than good enough. You don't have to be afraid of failure or have that fear of rejection. You don't have to let your inner limiting beliefs hold you back from what you truly desire. And so that's whenever I took my passion with psychology and helping others and turned it into my actual business and became a coach.
That's awesome, because it's very true. A lot of us, and that we go through this, self-sabotaging, right? Limiting beliefs, and then we're not good enough, right? And then we do things that is against what our inner self is telling us.
Yes.
Right. And so how do we get the inner self and that little the subconscious mind to get it out? Because I feel like the women, we have such amazing intuition, and we suppress those intuition because we don't trust them,
Right.
So how do we do it to like trust our intuition, bring those out? And so as part of your coaching, so do you have like a big coaching program that is there some tips that people can, like right now, what we're providing is the tips. How do we provide tips and secrets for people to make that shift? Because like you went through a trauma, and a lot of us go through trauma and then we make the shift, right? Or we're stuck, we don't make the shift. So how do we give people tips to say, change it? What can people do to get themselves out of the current situation they're in?
Yes. So what I have is, it's something I developed called First Class Life. And this is my mission to empower women and others all around the world how to truly live your first class life. Because what I realized in that moment during my wreck was that although I was living a good life, I wasn't truly living at my maximum potential, and that there was so much more to life than what had already occurred. So once I realized that, I had to recognize that, one, I was worth a truly first class life. And you may be asking, well, Lindsey, I keep hearing you say first class life, but what is that really? Let me tell you, it's not about how much money you have, but it's about truly walking in your purpose. It's about embracing every single part of you, being 100% authentically you, and being unapologetic about it. Because oftentimes we'll put on these masks when we wake up in the morning, and we act one way for our significant other, another way for our parents, another way for our friends, another way for our coworkers or clients. And at the end of the day, we're drained and exhausted because we've been wearing these masks to please other people. And when you're living your first class life, it's about shedding away those masks and showing up boldly and authentically you. It's about being intentional about creating happiness in every moment that you can. And so it's truly living a life full of purpose, fulfillment, and happiness. And so First Class Life is actually an acronym that I developed because as I was going through my recovery process and as I studied other successful people, because success is subjective, right? I noticed that there were trends. There were common characteristics and traits. And so F stands for faithful, I stands for intentional, R stands for reflective. And although we won't have time to go into all of them, I can share a few of them with you today, if that's okay.
Let's do it. Let's help give people some tips.
Yes. So the very first tip is F F stands for faithful. You must be faithful in your spirituality, in whatever you believe, and also faithful in who you are as a person. And if you look up faithful in the dictionary, that means that you're reliable. That means you do the things that you say you're going to do. Not only does that help strengthen your relationships, but whenever you remain faithful, then that helps to decrease your stress and overwhelm. So one thing that I like to do is whenever I find myself worrying about something, is you can ask yourself this question: is the thing that I'm worrying about, can I control it? Can I control the thing that I am so worried about, the thing that I am anxious about? And if the answer is yes, then that means it's time to make a plan of action and execute accordingly. If the answer is no, we have to do everything in our power to release that worry, to release that thought, because we're just increasing our stress and overwhelm for no reason. Like if you take COVID, for example, we can't control what happens with COVID. We can only control how we react to it. Right. So I wasn't as worked up. Like, did it cause me some stress? Yes, I'm only human, but I wasn't as worked up as so many other people because I knew that I couldn't control that. I could only control how I reacted to it.
That's right.
And I was faithful that it would all work out in the end. And that's why I made the intentional choice to come out better than how I went into it. But you have to make that choice. So that's the first tip. Another one I would like to share is I. I stands for intentional. Intention matters. Everything that we think influences our situations and our behaviors. So we have the power to speak life or death over any situation. And we have to be mindful of our thoughts because everything starts as a thought. So if we're thinking negatively, we'll find ourselves in more negative situations to cry and complain about. But if we're thinking positively, we'll find more things to be grateful for. And here's the thing, we can't create logical solutions from emotional places. So that means we have to bring ourselves up out of that victim mode, because when we stay in victim mode, then we give up our power for change. So that's why you have to be intentional about what you want for your life. Be clear on the things you do want and be clear on the things you don't want, and make a list of it. Be very, very clear, and then set your intention on going after those things and focusing on the positive. Because we can't have a positive future with a negative mind.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, you have to create it and be intentional in what you want. Negative, and that's the environment you're creating. There's no way you can grow from being a negative environment, right?
Right. We have to be intentional with our thoughts.
Okay.
So
and R?
Oh, you want to go into so R is reflective. That means you have to be self-aware. You have to understand how your environment affects you and how you affect your environment. That helps with managing our emotions in an effective manner. Because have you ever walked into somewhere and you're like, I don't know what it is about this place, but I just feel uneasy, right? Like, you have to be able to listen to that. And that comes with being reflective and self-aware of how your environment is affecting you. So not only your environment and your surroundings, but the people that you engage with. How do they affect you? How do you affect them? Because you have the power to affect them as well. And it can go negatively or positively. And so when you're living your first class life, of course, you are focused on making a positive impact in your life and the lives of others, but being aware of how your surroundings affect you and how you affect your surroundings.
Yeah, awesome. And then the S, I want to go to the S and T because I really want to learn all this stuff, right? Right now we're getting tips on how to go through what they're going through right now. So what's the S?
The first S stands for self-care. I always say self-care is not selfish. You have to prioritize self-care. So here's what happens when we don't prioritize self-care. We think we're moving along just fine, but we're a little irritable, or we're moody, or it's easy to snap off on people. We lack focus and we lack productivity, and maybe our weight is fluctuating. Maybe we have problems sleeping. And oftentimes we attribute those things to other things in our lives. But it all often starts with a lack of self-care. So we have to put ourselves first. We have to know that it's not selfish, and you must prioritize self-care, because if you don't, it starts to affect your emotional well-being, and that overflows into your physical well-being. And we often don't make that connection, because when we hear about self-care, we think, oh, that's going to get my hair done or my nails done, or retail therapy, going shopping. But self-care is so much deeper than that. Self-care is establishing boundaries. Self-care is saying no. Self-care is taking a moment to breathe deeply for 5 or 10 minutes whenever you need it. Self-care is healing your past traumas and experiences so that you can successfully navigate through your future life. All of those things are a part of self-care. And one of my favorite quotes says that self-care is giving the world the best of you instead of what's left of you. And it's so true.
Yeah. That's amazing. It is very true. And, and like this whole summit is about bringing awareness to self-care. There's the health, we say, as health is a spiritual health, right? Mental health, physical health, emotional health, and financial health. And those are like self-care, like caring, making sure that all these health is in alignment and that it's all balanced out, so that we're not like in our heads and we're not neglecting all the things that's important to our life. All right, so the T is time, you said?
Thankful.
Oh, thankful. Okay.
T stands for thankful, and this is so important. I know you probably get tired of hearing like attitude of gratitude. Sounds so cliche, but it's so true, because the things that we focus on, that's where our energy goes. Where your focus goes, your energy flows, and that's what we attract into our lives. So when you're focused on being thankful for the things that you do have, you find yourself with more things to be thankful for. However, when we're focused on the negative and complaining and oh, I don't have the right job, or I don't have enough education, or I don't have enough money, we are subconsciously attracting more lack into our lives. So we have to be thankful for what is and what is not, which can be a struggle to do. Like, how do I be thankful in moments of struggle? But there's always something to be thankful for, because it could always be worse. No matter what situation you find yourself in, it could always be worse. Taking my wreck, for example, the first thing I thought in my head was, thank God I'm alive. And the next thing I thought was, thank God I wasn't kidnapped in some psycho's basement, because that's what I had initially thought. I'm like, it's dark, I can't see, I can't move. Someone must have kidnapped me and tied me up and is waiting to torture me. And then that's when the panic set in. But I was safe in a hospital. And although I couldn't see, it wasn't because my vision was blinded from the wreck. I couldn't see because, one, it was dark. And two, I've worn glasses or contacts since the first grade. And during my surgeries, of course, those came off. And so here's the thing. Yes, I was previously brain dead. And then I woke up to still being paralyzed with all of the other injuries. But I may have been paralyzed, but at least I wasn't paralyzed and blind. I wasn't paralyzed and deaf. So I had some injuries and I couldn't hear out of my left ear for a little bit, but it wasn't permanent. It slowly came back over time. So yes, I was paralyzed, but I wasn't paralyzed and this, and this. And so I was grateful for that. And that's what I had to focus on, because as I mentioned earlier, you can't focus on the positives and the negatives at the same time. You have to choose one or the other. And it takes the same amount of energy to be miserable as it does to be happy. So choose wisely. I'm going to focus all of my energy on the positives and trying to create happiness as much as possible.
That's amazing. And, you notice that your life changed, right? Because now you surround yourself with all the same, your tribe of people who are positive,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And you stay away from the tribes that are negative, the people who are the bad energy, because we're all energy and we can feel each other's energy, right? So when we, like, I can feel your energy, and I can feel the goodness, I can feel the power. And like, and so, it's just so amazing, because when we are around the same kind of energy, we just help support each other more.
Yes, that is so true. And that goes back to being reflective, understanding how those around you affect you, because I'm very intentional. If you are very negative and complaining all the time, I don't want to spend my time around you, because I know that you're either going to influence me or I'm going to influence you. And you have some people that are just so stubborn they can't be influenced, which means it's going to bring your mood down. So you have to be mindful of the people that you are allowing in your space, because there's always that exchange of energy. They're either draining you out or building you up, or it's an equal exchange. And so you have to be mindful of that.
Yeah, I call it energy vampire.
Yes.
They're like, they suck your energy, and you're like, oh my God, I know. I can feel, I honestly, I can feel people's energy. And when I feel the negative vibration, I just want to stay away from them, because I just don't want to be around that kind of energy, because it's unhealthy for you. It's like
It is.
because it's either they drain you, they just like they suck the life out of you, and when you become aware of that, right? When you become aware of that, you're like, okay, this is a negative energy. You want your life to change. You need to change that energy. Otherwise, your life is not going to change. Your paradigm's not going to shift, right? So so that's amazing. And I love the different things that you do. And what on your Facebook group, you have this, like it, love it, and loathe it. I'm like, oh my God, I love her.
Yes.
and you go through and you do these, and your energy on these products and the stuff, it's like, oh my gosh, she's just so powerful. I just love her energy. I love how she's inspiring people and making changes to people's lives, and we need so many more powerful women in this world, to come out to our power, right? Because like we've been, I feel like this whole show, I've been talking to so many people, and we keep coming back to the same topic, is that a lot of us women, we suppress everything and we don't step into our power.
Right. But when you're living your first class life, you let it loose, all and all, and you are confident in who you are and your abilities, and you stand in that power, and it's an entirely different level when you're able to elevate yourself to that place.
Yeah, and it's amazing. And that how many how many times a year do you go in all these talk shows and development your professional development events and stuff like that? Have you been going to a lot of shows and on your Facebook and all that and social media?
So I am a big believer of staying a student. So I often am making sure that I'm staying aware of, new changes, what's going on as far as personal development and mindset goes. So I always want to make sure that I'm growing for not only myself, but for the benefit of my clients as well. So anytime someone calls out to me and I'm like, okay, I need to be at that event, I will go. There's not a limit necessary there. But then as far as speaking, where I'm doing the pouring into others, if it's a right fit, I will be there, so that is one of the services that I offer, where I can come and speak or train to your tribe, to your people, to your company about those mindset shifts. And so, of course, COVID made that kind of crazy, but ironically, it's a little bit easier because I don't have to fly to different places, which means I can be at 3 different conferences in one day, serving the world with how we can truly make those mindset shifts to increase our self-care, self-worth, and self-discipline. So I love what I do as a speaker. I love that I am able to serve people all around the world with my passion and the things that I've learned and the things that I've studied, and truly help one another to get the results that they need to achieve their dreams effectively. Because I'm a firm believer that if I can literally come back from death's bed, then there's no obstacle that you can't overcome, but you have to allow your pain to evolve. You have to make the choice that says, I deserve what I desire. I am worthy of what I desire. I am more powerful than the blocks in my life. You have to make that choice and then take action afterwards.
Yeah, because no one can make that choice for you, right? It's not your spouse, your partner, your kids, or your parents. Like, we need to take ownership. As I say, we have to take ownership of our life and ownership of the choices that we make, and stop blaming people, and stop making excuses, because a lot of us make excuses.
Right.
We're like, trying to like, okay, oh, it's the spouse that's holding me back. I have to ask permission from my spouse, my partner, to do anything. It's like, no, you don't have to ask permission.
No,
yes.
not.
And so that's why how do we teach people not to ask permission? It's like,
that's a part of your sense of self-worth, feeling like someone else is in control of your life. And so that's actually the second S in class, is self-worth. And self-worth is different than confidence. So confidence is your ability to perform an action. Like, you can be confident in your ability to put on makeup, or you can be confident in your ability to drive your car, but your sense of self-worth goes deeper than that. That's the values and beliefs that you hold true about yourself. And so when you're struggling in the self-care area, that's a good indicator whenever you always have to ask somebody else on your decisions. Like, oh, I need to confirm this with somebody. And it's not that we're ignoring, the considerations of the people in our life, but when we always have to ask for permission to make a move, that means that's an indicator of a lack of self-worth. And so that's where understanding that you are worthy of all that you desire is very, very important. You are here for a reason. You are here for a purpose. And the moment you make that shift and understand it, your power and your impact is increased exponentially. And so sometimes our life experiences can really bring down our self-worth. And that's why I like to use affirmations. You have to speak in the present tense. Make sure you're using I am. Don't say, oh, I wish I was confident. Speak to yourself and say, I am confident. Not, oh, I hope that I can be a leader one day. No, speak up and say, I am a leader. Right now, in this moment, I'm a leader. Even if I maybe don't fully feel like it, the more that we speak that over ourselves, remember I said our thoughts are powerful, then eventually we start to become that leader, and we subconsciously change our behaviors, which affects our surroundings and the environments that we find ourselves in. So you have to speak life over yourself. And so I kind of mentioned it earlier, but I want to share one of my favorite affirmations to say with anyone. It's my absolute favorite one that I've created. So say, I am more powerful than the blocks in my life. I am fully capable of achieving all that I desire. I am worth it. Now that's a bit longer one, and you say whatever works for you, but feel free to replay this video and use this one. Write it down, put it on your mirror, put it in your car, put it on your phone. And then if that is a true struggle for you, then start simple with something, that you want to improve in your life. And maybe that's as simple as I am confident. So you have to do what works for you.
So I have on my mirrors in my room, I have these statements, so when I'm like getting dressed and I have this little mirror, And I have these statements of my commitment to myself and the
Yes.
life that I wanted and the life that I'm creating. So I have these statements, and in my son's room, I have a mirror that I wrote how much I love him and how much I appreciate him and all that stuff, so that he sees it every day, knowing that he's getting the love and that he is a good, reinforcing these affirmations for him to build the confidence in him, right? So it's so important that we build that inner confidence in ourselves.
Yes, that's awesome.
Yeah. And so, I went through the same journey of figuring things out, relationship and all that stuff, but coming back to my power. And when I talk to people and I see that, it's no judgment, but when we're giving our power away, where even though we know our health needed, we know we need something and it's because of our health, and we have to ask permission. I'm like, no, you don't have to ask permission. Tell your partner that you need this for your life. Like, if you don't have this product, right, or you don't have this, it's not like a want, but it's a need. If you need something that will enrich your life to get you healthier, you're investing in your own personal health and your family's health, you don't have to ask permission. You just say, honey, this is something that will help improve our life together so that we live longer, happier, right? Younger, whatever it is, together. Instead of just like putting money as a priority, you have to put our health as a priority, right? That inner.
That's so right.
And I find it but how do we, this is amazing, because now we're giving people tips of, okay, what do we do to empower them?
So as I mentioned, start with those affirmations, getting clear on your intentions about what you want for your life and what you don't want for your life as well. And that other S is for self-discipline. We have to be accountable for our actions and realize that you have to live your life. No one can live it for you. You have to live your life, not your parents, not your significant other, not your kids, no one. So you have to be happy with the choices that you make for yourself. And you brought this up earlier that, we have to blame others like, oh, well, my significant other won't let me, or my job won't let me, or I don't have enough money. It's way easier to blame the outside, the external, for what we're living through, for not chasing after our dreams, for not fulfilling our goals. And self-discipline comes in being accountable. I like to say it's a hood proverb that says, you better check yourself before you wreck yourself. And it's so true. When we are accountable for our actions, it really, again, steps up our ability to change, because it tells us that I have the power to change my situation. So we have to affirm that we're worth it, and then hold ourselves accountable to the things that we're doing or not doing that's keeping us from achieving our goals.
Yeah, that's powerful. All right. So one last question I always ask everyone on the summit. And if you have a superpower to change the world, what would that superpower be and why?
Well, my superpower would be giving everyone the ability to truly live their first class life, of course, because I am all about happiness and, enjoying your life. I don't want to live just to work. I don't want to just blase through life. I want to truly experience life. I want to experience relationships and experience experiences and enjoy each and every moment that I can. And that's infectious. And so I want the people around me to be enjoying themselves and truly living life like we're supposed to enjoy and embrace life. And so that would be my superpower, giving everybody the ability to truly live a first-class life. So again, that's why I'm passionate in what I do, because in a way, I get to do that. I get to teach you how to do that. So I am living my superpower.
Like we said, like you say, life is so short. We don't know when our time will come. we don't know when, you know, we're going to catch some weird infection, or we're going to catch, you know,
Right.
illnesses. We don't know. We drive down the street or walk down the street and someone hits us, or, you know, in the car, and, you know, next minute you're walking, someone push you or something like that. You know, I mean, life is so short. And if we will take the time to really reflect and do all those things and stepping into the life that we're supposed to be living, right?
Yes.
Creating that beautiful life that we're, every single day we wake up and we're just happy and we're joyful and we're thankful and we're all these things to the life that is and what is to come. It's just so powerful. And if we can live in that kind of life, right?
Yes.
Everything changes. Yes.
Yes.
Awesome. And so how do we find you?
You can find me on my website, lindseyvertner.com. Reach out to me on social media, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn. Just search Lindsey Vertner. I love connecting, so please reach out. Follow me, subscribe to my YouTube channel. I like to keep it consistent, Lindsey Vertner. So as long as you spell my name right, you will find me. And then I'd love to offer a freebie, a free download. So this is my red light, green light action plan guide, and it helps you to map out effectively action to take towards your desires, towards your goals, towards your dreams, whatever you're working on. It helps you to set out the blueprint and take action accordingly. And you can download that for free at bit.ly/take action download. That's bit.ly/take action download. So that is a freebie for you. And if you're interested in coaching or in speaking services, then definitely reach out to me.
Yeah, and that's part of watching this. We also have a random drawing for people that you're offering a little bit of coaching.
Yes, yes. Definitely follow the steps to enter the drawing for a free mini coaching session with me.
Yeah, and we'll let people know when we'll put the random drawing into like a software, and they'll pick out people's name, and we'll contact them to let them know when they win the coaching and announce it. Yes, it's so much fun. Yay, I'm so excited that you're here. I'm so grateful, really, really grateful that you are on this show, and that
Thank
you,
you.
yes, and I feel we're so in alignment. I know that we're going to keep working together, and there's so many other things that we can do, and future summits and future stuff. But I am so grateful that you came on today and to be part of this summit. It's like, it's so, and so many great tips too.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Yes, yes.